You've got to realize that what's going on outside of your building is affecting what's going on inside of your building. The things that happen in the economy and geopolitics, that lands here eventually. We've got the delivery of our ANCA EPX-SF. It's taken a lot of patience with this one. It's come later than we hoped, but we're glad it's here today.
EPX, and then the SF is for surface finish.
Stream finishing.
Stream finishing, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, stream finish.
Yeah, because it's a change in technology from a drag finish. Drag finish, you would have something similar with a tool going into a drum of media, but the tool would be going straight down into it and spinning and being dragged around through it. And with stream finishing, you tilt the tool at an angle, so that way as it's going through the media, you're getting flow of media up the flute, and it helps to polish the flutes more and gives you better control over how you're doing the edge prep.
So what year did you first hear about the stream finish technology?
Probably when they talked to me about it a few years. How many years ago? 2 years?
We saw it at IMTS in 24.
Yeah, but it was before that. Probably about 3 years ago that I started to hear about this machine.
And that was new tech that they were.
I mean, I don't know that they developed stream finishing, but this is their take on it. And I'd known about drag finishing for a long time because companies like OTEC have been doing that for decades. I remember going with you 20 years ago, 25 years ago maybe, to go see the OTEC's facility at one point, but we didn't go that route.
And we have one of their first machines.
Yeah, I mean, the serial number on this is 16.
Yeah.
But I know that they had a number of them that they built as like beta testing machines for some of the manufacturers in Australia. And then they've had, you know, a few that they've built for their own prototyping and testing. So it's one of the very early ones to come into the US, that's for sure.
That's what I've heard at some of the trade shows too, just hearing the talk. We got one of the very first to come off the line.
First on the West Coast, maybe?
I think we might be.
So then,
to my knowledge,
for the type of company we are, we've got first Semicon on the West Coast, first EPX on the West Coast.
I know there's a couple other companies on the West Coast who placed their order about 6 to 8 months after we did. So they should be getting theirs quickly, but I think we were the one, if not the first.
That's because I ordered it before IMTS.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Your foresight paid off.
Even though we're 2 years later, it's still earlier than everyone else.
So I'm assuming people wait to see it at IMTS to make sure, like, okay, it's working, it's doing what it's supposed to. So what did you see that made you be able to act on it with confidence, like before?
Well, because we had samples sent out and then we're able to bring them back in and analyze them and see if we liked the edge that it gave, because we had the other Zoller unit.
Oh, the Palm SKP.
The Palm SKP.
Yeah.
And with the Palm SKP, we actually did that on purpose, bought the Palm SKP ahead of time so that way we could use it to analyze the edges on the different pieces of equipment that we wanted to look at for doing edge prep.
So really this machine is like a plan that's probably, I don't know, 4 to 5 years in the making.
About that, yeah.
So I'm excited to find out in another 5 years what plans are cooking in your brain right now.
No one knows, except me. Top secret, yeah.
There's always a plan cooking though.
Yes, there is, yeah.
And I like that about all of us here at SCT. I have a thought, and you're like, oh no. That's the name of the game in manufacturing.
Yeah.
My goal is to improve every year. Every year look back at our company Christmas party and think about what technology we improved on, what procedure we improved on. And
well, then you're gonna like Christmas this year because it's been a big one.
It's been a big one.
Because we've got our coating chamber, that whole Semicon system built out.
Yep.
We've got the EPX in.
Yep. The Zoller was the year before, but still.
Yeah. And we have another cutter grinder coming this year for doing more specials.
Yeah, it's been a big year.
Didn't we add the Ultra this year? Or was that last year?
No, that was last year.
That was last year.
Do you remember it was the day after the tariffs were introduced?
That's right.
And I called ANCA the morning after the tariffs were rolled out. and said, what do you have in the United States? Please ship it now.
That was a busy day for us.
Yeah.
We laid out some cash that day.
Yes, because it was that, and I forget what else I bought.
Carbide.
That's right. We bought more carbide before the tariffs hit, and I bought some other tooling that I knew was going to go up. I think there was 1 week where we spent $800,000 from something like that to avoid tariffs going into place.
So for our young machinists, or if we want to pick on our young interns here right now, how do they develop that gut or that knowledge? Like, you know, you and I happened to be at ISA the day of the Rose Garden announcements, Liberation Day. And so we had a little bit of some inside knowledge with the economist and the NAW representative and these key indicators for the economy. Other than like paying attention to data sets like that, which is very important, are there any other ways that these young rising manufacturers can develop that gut instinct or not get dragged down by decision paralysis?
Well, I think part of it is just that you've got to realize that what's going on outside of your building is affecting what's going on inside of your building. So when you open the news every day and you're reading it, seeing what's going on in the world, that lands here eventually. Maybe not as it happens, but the things that happen in the economy and geopolitics, those things will make a difference inside of our building eventually. And so just being aware of that as you're making decisions and not being afraid to act on it. That's part of the answer.
Yeah. I wonder if part of the answer too is to seek out a mentor.
Yeah, probably.
Like,
this has been a mentorship right here, yeah.
This, a familial succession plan or a built-in mentorship program. I know there's older, seasoned, wise machinists and manufacturers out there that are wanting to reinvest in the younger crew. So.
Well, I'm already trying to do that with the guys that I have, is teach them as much as I can about what I know. So,
yeah.